There have been a number of Bible verses used to describe Donald Trump as president of the United States, but I'll pick this one. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous increase, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people mourn. The people have done a lot of mourning under this president, Donald Trump. And for the first time in my 58 years on this earth, and for the first time in my 40 years paying attention to politics, and in my first time ever deciding to turn away from watching a Republican National Convention, that was this week because of Donald Trump as president. I have never missed a convention, Democrat or Republican, and I've had the singular honor of covering the Democratic National Convention not once, but 3 times as press in 2008, 2012, and this year. I love my country. I love my politics. I love being a Democrat, but I have had the pleasure of knowing a number of people who are Republican. This administration has not given this country any joy whatsoever. It has served to maintain its position simply by dividing people. It has served to allow itself the absolutely disgusting image of having as its best friends authoritarians and dictators. It has served to ruin our relationship with the United Kingdom. It has served to reduce our relationship to Japan, with Japan, to look at like nothing more than something that happens to exist because of his business relationship with those in power over there. Donald Trump and his family have succeeded in using taxpayer dollars to enrich their own business in the face of the American public. No one has done anything meaningful to stop their activities, including tonight, where in an ungodly display of hubris and arrogance, in a flouting of long-held traditions, Donald Trump elected to hold his acceptance speech in the People's House. The People's House, the Rose Garden, is supposed to be the People's House, not the house of the sitting president running for re-election. That's why we have something called the Hatch Act. But he didn't care, because the loophole that existed, which allowed him to do what he did tonight, was not something not known by other people. We've always had a ladies and gentlemen agreement about how to conduct this country. Donald Trump has ignored that time and again. The President of the United States has what Thomas Dye and L. Harmon Ziegler, in their fantastic book, The Irony of Democracy, called the biggest bully pulpit in the world. What the president says guides the country. So, as Donald Trump goes, so goes America, right down into a cliff. Donald Trump took power by surprise, even to himself. He and the people working with him really didn't expect to win at all the prize. No. For them, it was simply another way of enriching their coffers, of maintaining the visibility of the Trump brand around the world. What better way to do that than to run for president? And if you're going to do it, you might as well have some help from the Russians, because you need their money, you've got business ties with them, and Why not? It just so happened that what Russia did for him was what Democrats did not want to do. Pure and simple, become simply focused on a social media campaign designed to divide and conquer. This has been something in the works for some time. And they picked Donald Trump as a person willing to use it. He did, but there was far from any guarantee it was going to work. Consider this. Before Donald Trump, no candidate for president of the United States from New York ever got to a point where they were their party's nominee. Donald Trump realized with the people he worked with out of Russia that the only way that he could win was to take the Southern strategy and adopt it full force, pedal to the metal, with all the racism that comes with it. That's precisely what he did. The Donald Trump before he ran for president was a Trump who got on David Letterman on January 8th, 2015 and extolled the virtues of free speech in the United States of America and stated his support for, yes, flag burning. He said that Confederate statues were better off in a museum. But when he became president of the United States, he did a complete reversal. And he did so adopting a rhetoric and an approach that was so blatantly catered to Southern evangelicals that others called out what he was doing, even as Southern evangelicals looked on and supported him. It didn't seem to matter to them, proving Donald Trump's idea correct, that, hey, look, they could be led. He was right. Or worse. What Donald Trump has done in the face of the wake of the 2 terms of one of the greatest presidents we ever had in the United States, Barack Obama, is tearfully awful. Where President Obama said, we are one America, the United States of America, President Trump gave breath and life to those who believe, for some psychotic reason, and would have to be a psychotic reason, that diversity is not to be prized. People who believe that are the same kind of people who, on the other hand, would take their monies and invest them in areas where they wouldn't expect to get a great return, but they'd say, well, it's going to grow. And then they would make necessary government changes or try to make that happen. The point I'm making is this. If you believe in diversity and the fact that talent can be found anywhere, regardless of color, then you can't turn around and say, well, you know what? I don't believe diversity matters in terms of choice of where I put my money, because if I segregate my money towards certain areas, I will miss someplace else, right? Right. So think about what I just told you and think about how stupid it is to oppose diversity. Diversity of thought, diversity of loves, diversity of opinions, diversity of artistry, tastes, all kinds of diversity that has made this America so very rich. Donald Trump, prior to running for president, prized diversity. Sure, he had a number of moments where he was racist. But if you take a look at his track record as a person, he was actually improving. But starting in 2008, and then in years after that, when his international focus became more toward the Soviet Union, he gained as allies moneyed interests and political interests which did not share the views that he claimed to prize. But what they had and have that he did not have was a great deal of money. And so by 2014, the game was set. And by 2015, he elected to run for president. And he did so with a deliberate strategy to insult everybody, divide everybody, and conquer. And he had the good fortune of doing it with his opponent being none other than Hillary Clinton, who, let's face it, was not the best candidate to be president of the United States. So when I realized that Donald Trump was going to be our president, to be frank with you, I wasn't surprised at all. I had hoped that what he did to get in was simply a tool, that once in the office, he would become awed with the awesome power of being president, realize his true calling, and settle in and keep this country on the right path. Donald Trump did none of that. Donald Trump did none of that. There are so many examples of what he has done that are so awful to this country. The Charlottesville event where he said there were people on both sides. The time when he referred to NFL players in a way that I do not want to recite here. The time when Trump decided to call not one, but several black female reporters with names I don't want to repeat and treat them in ways that I don't want to describe. It was disgusting. It was the kind of event that made you wonder why the other reporters and even the security guards that witnessed him acting that way toward these women simply let him do that without saying something. In public, right then and there, like, sir, don't you think you're going a bit too far? That would have been a very nice, appropriately timed, and well-delivered response. Tasteful, stern, and effective. But they didn't even do that. They just simply stood by and watched. There's been a lot of that, standing by and watching Donald Trump behave inappropriately, and wishing and praying and hoping and thinking and believing that he would come around. As Michelle Obama so eloquently put it during the Democratic National Convention, it is what it is. In other words, in my words, I tearfully do not expect Donald Trump to ever get better. He knows more than anyone else why he is taking this road. And one day I pray that we all are given the answer. How that comes about, I do not know. But I know we deserve an answer. But right now, Trump has given rise to people who believe that America, for example, is entirely capitalist. When the truth of the matter is that America is a mix of capitalism and socialism. That there are vast parts of Americans' economic operation that are truly socialist. Want proof? See that cat in the tree over there? Want to get him out? Call the police or fire. You've just activated an agent of socialism. You see, people get it confused, if I may digress for a moment. When they criticize the idea that America's socialist, they always point at what the socialist institutions do. For example, oh, the police protect the poor and everything else. Look, what the police do in actual practice is far different from what they are designed to do by financing and law. If we had a truly capitalist society, you would be forced to pay for police protection. But you know what? That cat in the tree that police officer just helped get down, he's not sending you a bill. Okay? But see, that truth isn't enough for a lot of people. They're happy with the lie because for them, the lie gives them an other to dislike. Socialist over here, non-socialist over there, when in point of fact, neither division exists. And for those of you who call yourselves democratic socialists, I say this: you've done a great deal of damage that has helped President Trump essentially make a stupid argument. Democratic socialists can't even define for themselves what socialism truly is. And overall, the two sides, if you will, are exemplary of a fact that Richard Dreyfuss, the famous actor from Jaws, told me way back in 2009 when he explained that America was not learning civics anymore. We had a crisis of lack of knowledge of how our government works. Richard Dreyfuss, at the time, didn't know it, but he was actually forecasting the election of Donald Trump because he laid out the foundation of anti-intellectual events that will cause Donald Trump to be elevated into the White House. And to wit, a number of you simply don't understand how your own government works because you didn't learn it in school. And when you were in those classes, if those courses existed in civics and government, it's quite possible that you were playing video games on your smartphone and you didn't pick it up. It's time to wake up. This isn't a question what kind of country you want. This is a wake-up call to tell you the kind of country that we are headed toward is a kind of country that you're not going to want. And you're going to ask how we got here. And if you're smart, you replay what I'm telling you. This is your warning. The warning is this: pay attention to government, pay attention to politics. Recall and install the presence of the Lord in our lives. Have the government inject the necessary capital to get our economy back in motion again during this pandemic, like 9.8 trillion, and we'll be on a better path. We need to start insisting on movement as one, and we need to stop acting as if we are against each other. All of you and I have the same problems. And we can, and indeed must, ignite the installation of and the execution of actions that lead us to the proper solutions so that we can have better lives and, more important, so that we can leave a better America to our offspring and loved ones. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.